D. McClung, Archer Monologues. I'm going to try to keep this one short. No guarantees. I'll try to be long-winded in a short way. Now here is what I see. In America, you have, I think, a fairly accurate representation of American mindset in a majority sense of the word. You have Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump. On the one hand, you have Hillary. Now, I want to express this in a way that compares to the American mindset, the people of America and their behaviors and attitudes and so on. For example, all right, you got Hillary on the one side, a psychopath, a liar, a mass murderer. You could almost say a serial killer. You can have and she's got a lot of these, well, I can't separate certain aspects of her from other aspects of American political thought because there's a lot of similarities. The Republicans and Democrats, for example. Now, I don't want to get into the Republican-Democrat thing. I don't want to get into the right-wing liberal conflict there because that won't represent exactly what I'm trying to say. But let's say you have Hillary on the one hand, a socialist and a fascist. Could say Nazi. You have that almost argumentative and arrogant style. I think she likes to argue. And the unfortunate part about everything she says is that, one, it's either not true, or it's, shall we say, ad hominem. Ad hominem, that's an interesting phrase, and I used to hear it a lot on certain websites that I went to, social media websites. Google Plus, for example. Ad hominem, I think basically the best way to describe that is that someone who attacks the person or the character of another person instead of addressing or even attacking the ideas expressed by that other person. It's like me, for example. I try to explain in a rational kind of way most of the time. Not always. Sometimes I rant and rave, but that's part of the deal. But, for example, I try to explain that certain words in English language mean, well, they all mean what they mean, but there are certain words that have been messed over, have been twisted around by the government, by the media, and by the population, the mind benders, the matrix, and the masses. So if I'm trying to explain the difference with the concept of these meanings of these words, so I'll just take a word, pedophile. That makes people quake in their boots. They hear that and their blood boils just instantly because they've been conditioned to react that way to a word. It's just a word. And I haven't pointed out any human beings or any human behavior in regards to just mentioning the word. I'm talking about the word as a part of the English language, and as a word that is used in communication with other people, discussions and debates and arguments and so on. And sometimes just in a sense of educational expressions, which is what I try to do mostly. So if I am saying the word pedophile, and everybody's got a reaction, it's just an instant reaction. It's almost like the word stimulates negative vibes and delusions and hysteria, just hearing the word. The word itself is just a word. It has no particular situation to it. It's just it's a word, like made up of letters, and it has a meaning, and it's always meant what it means now, and it always will, because that's what words do. They mean what they mean. So if I'm trying to explain to you, the listener, that the word pedophile means a certain thing, and I'm not going to get into any big, long, drawn-out discussion on that, but people react to my definition of the word as if I am defending human behavior that may or may not apply, or that word it may or may not apply to. They fail to understand the concept of the word means what it means. It doesn't mean what they think it means. The mind benders have conditioned them to think, oh, that means something. And it doesn't mean that. It's just like the government uses words that are basic. Well, as I've just read here in Dave Champion's book, Income Tax Shattering the Myth, there are legal terms, and then there are words. So a word, as we would say, the word is the word we commonly use, and we know what it means. It means what it means. Like the word up, like in the sky, is up. And, I would think that if you hear that phrase, the sky is up, then you're going to get the idea that the word means up, meaning above your head, or over, in the sky, not under your feet if you're standing on the ground. And then someone comes along and uses the word like, hey, up yours, and then it's a totally different application. But the word up in the sentence, the sky is up, still means what it means. The sky is up, not down. So the thing that I'm trying to suggest here is we have Hillary saying things and conducting her life in a certain way that's criminal and psychopathic, socialist to some degree. You've got Republicans and Democrats and all mixed up today. It's like they're both pretty much the same. They're both wrong, and they're both trying to do bad things. And this is something I find interesting about human beings, in America at least, is that you have this vast majority of people who have been brainwashed, manipulated, conditioned, indoctrinated with bullshit, lies, and they just go along with it. But that's not what I wanted to talk about. I want to talk about the fact that you've got Hillary Clinton on this side, you've got you've got Donald Trump on the other side. And if you look at that and just expand all that to, you've got all the Americans that are on the Trump mindset, and you got all the Americans that are on the Hillary Clinton mindset. And then you got the hanger-ons that just totally don't understand anything, and they just kind of latch on to one or the other for whatever reason. That might be usually like an emotional reason, like, I agree with him because he's, whatever. So the fact is, most Americans are fighting on one side with the other side. They're bickering and arguing and fussing constantly. And this is the problem I have with Americans and like on the internet, for example. I can't go on the internet, I can't go on a social media site without running into people that want to argue. I mean incessantly argue. And it's not like they want to come to any conclusion. It's not like they want to have an honest debate where, you present your side, I present my side, and then at the end, we come to a conclusion one way or the other. Nobody ever comes to a conclusion on these social media sites. They wind up getting frustrated and calling each other names, Oh, you're an idiot. Oh, you're an idiot. You're an asshole. You're a troll, whatever. Because they don't understand the concept of debate, for one thing. In a debate, you present your side, the other side presents their side, and then at the end of that debate, someone clearly has a conclusion from the information given. Like, I give you a fact, and the other guy gives a fact. Well, maybe those facts are contradictory, so one of them is not a fact. One of them is wrong. Anyway, we come to a conclusion at the end of the debate, and we say, oh, I see. Well, I have heard all of that side of the story, and I've heard all that side of the story, and I've come to a conclusion that that side is wrong, and that side is right. It's hard to do that when you're talking about Hillary and Donald Trump, because they're both wrong. And the debate is so skewed that you can't really come to a reasonable conclusion in favor of one or the other, because they're just both like total insane crazy people. And that's the way it is with social media and people on the internet. They argue, they bicker ad infinitum. They never come to a conclusion. They never come to the end of the debate. And I like to jump right to the end of the debate. The summation and then the conclusion. All right? Donald Trump said this. Hillary Clinton said that. And you agree with him or you agree with her, which means you disagree with the other side. But no conclusion. I like conclusions. I think calculated, logical conclusions and critical analytic observations are the goal. And if that's not your goal, then you're just wasting your time. If you want to engage me in that kind of frivolous, pointless bickering, then you obviously don't want to learn, and you don't want to change your mindset, and you don't want to come to a knowledgeable conclusion that's, gives you something solid to think and something solid to be in favor of. It appears to me that everybody is just confused. And I suppose that's good for the mind benders and the people that are working for the evil matrix. Now, when I use the word matrix, I am not speaking, I sometimes capitalize it when I'm writing it, but I use the word matrix as it means, as the definition of the word matrix means, not like that thing in the movie called The Matrix, but rather it would be like using a word like the maze. And if you walk into a maze and you're going to get lost and confused, and you walk around in circles in the maze, and you're never going to get out of the maze. You're never going to get to the other side of the maze. You may never get to the core center of the maze. And that's the of course the point, the purpose, the intention of the mind benders and the matrix, the elitists. There's different words you can use to describe these bastards. Controllers, mind benders, elitists, globalists, any number of names. I prefer to call the Matrix. I'll call it the Matrix because that's a very good word. It describes the meaning of the word matrix with a small m. Describes that system, which we call the government, the status quo, the establishment. Because the matrix is working in this country, the government and the media are working in cahoots, by the way, to create a nightmare scenario So, the point I'm trying to make, if I'm not doing a very good job of it, but it doesn't matter if I tell you exactly what I want to say in perfect language, perfect English at this point, because that's not the purpose of this particular episode that I'm recording at this moment. But you have these two sides, they're both wrong and they're both bickering, and the American people are pretty much following that same paradigm. That we got people on one side arguing about this, we got people on the other side arguing back, and they go back and back and back and back and forth and back and forth, argue, and nobody ever comes to a conclusion. I don't care for that kind of thing because that's pointless. It's counterproductive. Actually, it's not just non-productive, it's counterproductive. And I like things to be wrapped up. And so if I'm telling you, like, for example, since I got mentioned Dave Champion's book, Income Tax Shattering the Myths, there's information in the book. It tells you pretty much everything you need to know about the income tax and why there's a problem. And one of the pillars of this truth is that there's no law making the, shall we say, the non-incorporated individual American liable for the income tax. There's all kind of details and facts and statistics and so forth that go along with that. But, I mean, the book is 425 pages, so there's a lot of stuff to absorb and reason through and come to some conclusion. But the book itself represents the conclusion, is what I'm saying. So when I speak, when I write and express myself, my thoughts on various subjects, say, for example, the income tax, I have engaged in the debate, the discussion, which is another word for debate, and I've even had casual conversations with people about the income tax and the misapplication of the income tax and the criminal application of the income tax by the IRS and the rest of the government. And the thing is, there is no law, and that's the bottom line. That's where you present that. There's no law, and whatever the opposition to that wants to say about that doesn't change that fact. There is no law. So Americans want to argue, well, they'll put you in jail, and there is, it is the law, and so on. And the fact is, there is no law making you liable for the income tax, unless you're a corporate officer. I like to go to the bottom of that debate and come to a conclusion from the information I have. Well, the information I have tells me there's no law making me liable for the income tax. And you, most likely, are not liable for the income tax either because you're not a corporation, and only corporations are liable for the income tax. You know, it's a privilege tax. It's a tax on the privilege of earning a profit as a corporation. Now, the fact that there is no law is established. The research has been done. This has been done to great degree, to an exhausting degree. And the bottom line is, in the debate over the income tax, there's no law making us liable for the income tax. That's just a fact. And we come to that fact by doing the research and discovering it doesn't exist because nobody can find it. Nobody. And the IRS is not going to show us simply because, well, they refuse to. They won't even talk about it because they know that it doesn't exist. They have to know. I mean, how could you not know? I mean, if it's your job to administer a tax and collect a tax, whatever, then you should know what law it is makes your job even possible. So if you don't know, then you're an idiot. Then you're incompetent. You shouldn't be working in the IRS. Same with H&R Block. I went to H&R Block. I said, hey, you fill out tax returns for people, and what law are you following by doing that? And they absolutely were fabricated. I don't know what you're talking about. We just follow the rules. The laws that you don't, but they say they do, but they don't. Show me the law, and they can't. Show me the law where it says that you are doing the right thing by filing out income tax returns for these people that don't owe a fucking income tax. Anyway, the point is, the conclusions are the conclusions, the unrefutable conclusions, the logical conclusions, the factual conclusion. And if you're observing the situation and you see through your observations, the critical analytic observation, not just some, oh, I just happen to notice there's an IRS on the corner downtown and there's an agent walking around, but if you don't have any evidence, I don't see any debate there. There's the debate on one side of the income tax is, they'll put you in jail if you don't pay your tax. Well, since I don't owe a tax, then why would they put me in jail? Why would I pay a tax I don't owe legally? And I mean legally. Because there is no law making me liable. So why would I pay it? Because the IRS will arrest you and put you in prison. Well, that's the argument, but that's not the fact. They may put you in jail, but that doesn't mean they have the right to put you in jail or that they have a law that supports them putting you in jail. They just make up shit like, oh yeah, we're going to put you in jail because we damn well feel like it because you're pointing out that we're criminals and robbing you. So, hell, we're going to rob you. We might as well put you in jail or kill you or whatever because, we're getting away with murder anyway. And nobody's doing anything to stop it. There are a few people that are trying to educate people to these facts, but if you're not going to listen to the facts, if you're just going to argue with the facts, then you're not going to gain anything. You're not going to become, enlightened and knowledgeable and be able to come to a conclusion that's rational. But if you take the facts, there's no law making you liable. That's a fact. And when I talk to people, I like to think, I'm giving you some information that is true, fact, substantiated, supported, confirmed, proven by the evidence. And why would you debate that? And that's the problem. So what we have in America are people who want to argue, bicker, but neither one of them know what they're talking about. And if one person in a debate says, here's the fact, the opposition in that debate has nothing to say except some silliness, some foolishness, some lie, some bullshit, something they made up, something they heard from, some criminal somewhere like the IRS agents. Their argument is bogus, and why consider it? Why even allow it to even enter into the debate? That's a bogus argument, so just don't say that. It just has nothing to do with the debate. The debate is there a law or isn't there a law? No, the debate's settled. The debate is settled. The fact is there's no law. That's true. So there is no debate. The debate's over. I don't want to get into the global warming bullshit, but a lot of people that, you're in denial of weather change, and you're a denier, and the debate's over, climate change is real, and global warming is real, blah, blah, blah. And see, that's the problem. Because people that are stupid and liars and been totally brainwashed and brain dead and indoctrinated and conditioned with bullshit started using the phrase, the debate is over. So it makes it difficult for someone who is actually honest, truthful, and on top of the game says, there is no debate because I just told you the truth. The last word is there's no law, and there isn't. Scientifically provable. So what you have is you can have in a discussion about the income tax, you can have a discussion of the fact is, bottom line, last word, nothing else to say, the debate's over, there's no law, period, case closed, end of story, and then someone else, I'll put you in jail. Which is a frivolous argument because it has nothing to do with the fact that there's no law. So in a debate that's valid, you would say, one side would say there is no law making anyone liable for the income tax unless you're a corporation. And then on the other side of the debate, you would have someone proving that there is a law making you liable. That's the argument. That's the way, that's the paradigm. That's the construct of how that debate goes. I say there is a law, and then I say, oh, well, somebody says there is a law, and somebody else says there isn't a law. And the person who is saying there is a law should produce the law, otherwise their side of the argument is null and void. See, I'm saying there is no law, so I can't produce a law that doesn't exist, and that would be contradictory to the very facts of the matter anyway. Since it doesn't exist, I can't produce it. So the other side is saying, well, here it is. Here's the law. Here's the book. Here's the code. Here's the tax code, and right there's the law. And show me that, and present that in their debate. Well, that can't be done since there's no law. But that's the way a debate works. A legitimate debate is, I say there is a law, you say there isn't a law, I produce the fact that there is no law, and you produce the fact that there is. I mean, you either produce the law, or you don't. One side is right, and the other side is wrong, because there's no law to produce, fella. So you can't be doing that. It doesn't happen. Now, this producing this is saying something in the arguing that, they'll put you in jail if you don't pay a tax. I mean, that has nothing to do with the fact that there is no law. And it certainly has nothing to do with producing the law that you claim exists. And you're not even arguing it's like apples and rocks, and, it's actually like apples and bullshit. So if you're going to argue and debate something, then you have to keep that debate on the right paradigm and construct of debate. Otherwise, it's just bickering and bullshit. So that's where I come in. I like to tell people things that I think is useful information, correct, accurate information, and I say there's no law making you liable for the income tax unless you're a corporation. And that's the argument. That is the argument. So the debate coming back from that is either you can produce the law or you can't. And since you can't, then there is no argument. I'm thinking about God and whether there is a God or isn't a God, and that's pretty much the same thing. It's like me. I'm sorry, there's no God. And in the debate over whether there's a God or not, if you're on the other side and you think there is a God, then, show me some proof. And you say, you say there's no God, so show me some proof there isn't. And it's kind of hard to prove a negative, since there's nothing to prove. I mean, there's no way to prove something that doesn't exist. So, in that debate, there's no God. There's no evidence to support the theory, the mythological nonsense that there is a God. And this is the 21st century. Why would anybody believe that nonsense? I mean, it's, 21st century, we're like, to be honest with you, if we went back a couple thousand years and we were talking to people on the planet back in Israel and Jerusalem and wherever, and England and Germany, whatever countries existed back then, Rome, Greece. Let's debate this. There's a God. No, there isn't. How would that debate go back then? Well, they'd just burn you at the stake if you didn't agree with the fact that the Pope says there is. Pretty much the way it is now. If you don't agree with the liar who's telling a lie, if you don't agree with the lie, they'll just kill you. Or just call you nasty names and say nasty things about you and just say you're being foolish or idiots, and I'm sorry, but I called you an idiot first because you're the idiot. I'm not an idiot because I know the truth. Scientifically speaking, no, there isn't. So any argument you want to present is show me the God. I mean, show me the law that makes me liable for the income tax. You can't do it because there isn't any evidence. There isn't any law. So you don't have an argument. So there is no debate. You can have a discussion if you want and talk all you want, but when you get on the internet and you want to bicker with someone that knows better than you, just don't. It's just stupid. It's ridiculous. Why would you bother? You like to argue? Is that it? You don't really want to come to a conclusion. You don't really want to know the facts. You don't want to change your mindset because I'm delusional and I kind of like being an insane person. And that's what delusion is. Delusion is insanity. That's like I'm believing in something that doesn't exist. And I refuse to change my mind because even though you've proven to me that I'm insane, I'm not going to accept that. If you're talking to somebody back 2,000 or 3,000 years ago, like, what the hell do they know about anything? What kind of educated person were they? I mean, there might be a couple of educated people in the world back 3,000 years ago. I'm sure there were. Thinkers, logical people, intelligent people, with an IQ of more than 50. The odds are there were a few intelligent people back 3,000 years ago, but some of them weren't just like in charge of writing a Bible. And you know what I'm saying. So we're talking about debate. We're talking about arguing and bickering, and it's just pointless. It's absolutely pointless and useless, frivolous. So when I go on the internet and I speak and I express myself, I write stuff, I post it on the internet, on my blog or on Facebook or whatever. And here's the facts. Here's the observation that is scientifically mandated. There is no argument, and yet Americans won't argue because they're delusional. They've been indoctrinated with bullshit. And they want to spit their bullshit out at the other guy who is like totally not talking bullshit. So that's the bottom line. And I have spent a lot of time in the past 15 years of being on the internet arguing with people, and I know better. It's just foolish to me. It's just a waste of my time, and it's just frustrating. And I should know better by now. Well, I do. I try not to do that anymore. They want to do it, but I don't want to do it. So I get drawn into an argument, and in a frivolous debate, foolish debate, because I said what I wanted to say, and I'm done. And you believe it or not, accept it or not. That's why I like monologues. I can say what I want to say, and you're listening or not listening, and whatever. If you're hearing me say this right now, you're listening, right? I don't think there's a debate there. You either hear what I'm saying or you're not listening. But if you are listening, then you're going to hear what I'm saying. Whether you understand it or not, it depends on your capacity to understand English. I actually had a gentleman a while ago suggest that I was talking babble. That what I said made no sense. Well, he's Canadian, and apparently English has different meanings or whatever in Canada. I guess Canadian English is different than American English. Maybe, I guess. Anyway, I thought it was very clear, and I think any American of any age and experience in communicating in English would understood what I said exactly. Not necessarily, but apparently more so than a Canadian. And I don't mean to hurt his feelings or insult him, but it's just my observation that what I said was English. And might have not been British or Canadian, but it was certainly clear. To even suggest that it wasn't clear is just absurd. And I apologize to my friend in Canada for saying that. But, I mean, I don't mean to say that he's absurd, but it just seems absurd to me that you can't understand English. Whether it's in Canada or England or Brooklyn or wherever. So, I guess my short little talk got longer than I expected, as always, because I'm just long-winded. Just can't stop talking. I have to keep saying shit. Alright, so anyway, you know what I just said. You can play it back over and over and over again if you want to until you understand every word. But to be honest with you, the politics in the country today is bizarre. You got Trump, you got Hillary. You got Trump, you got Hillary. I mean, it's bizarre. And I think it's frivolous to even try to discuss these two people. Because the evidence says one of them's a lunatic, one of them's a psychopath. The evidence supports my conclusion. And I'm not going to come to fisticuffs with people that are supporters of Donald Trump by calling Donald Trump a lunatic, because he is. Obviously, from the evidence. The evidence says he's a lunatic. Now, what does the word lunatic mean? Look it up in the dictionary. Sheesh. If you don't know what lunatic means, then, sorry. Do your homework. Find a dictionary. Look it up. If you don't know what psychopath means, get the dictionary. Look it up. That's what dictionaries are for. I'm not your dictionary. So, that's the problem in America. We bicker and bicker and bicker and bicker and bicker. Debate and debate and debate. They don't even debate properly. They don't even know what the word debate means. They don't even know how the construct of the debate works. In a debate, you put your evidence, your argument, your best argument forward, and then at the end, you come to a conclusion. And both sides have to agree on that conclusion. Otherwise, you wasted your time. If I'm on this debate team and you're on that debate team, and my position in that debate is that 2 and 2 equals 4, a fact, provable, scientific truth, and your side of the debate team over there says, no, 2 and 2 does not equal 4, and in fact we think it equals 5. Well, at the end of that debate, you're going to come to a conclusion. I would think you would say, the nature of a debate is to come to an end of it and to come to a conclusion and say, all the evidence says 2 and 2 equals 4, not 5. So all of the debate teams on both sides, both debate teams, both debaters conclude, 2 and 2 does in fact equal 4 and not 5. And then you're done. You've settled that question. You've debated it fairly, hopefully you do, logically and so on, rationally, and then you come to a conclusion that 2 and 2 does, in fact, equal 4. And you're done. And both sides agree and shake hands and pat each other on the back and say, good job. And everybody walks away saying, yeah, we now know that 2 and 2 equals 4. And that's the point of a debate. That's the way it works. Not in America. And then people go, I have to agree to disagree. I'm sorry, no, we're not. I'm right, you're wrong in that case. Sometimes I'm wrong. Rarely, but sometimes. And if someone can debate me on a subject that I think I am right on and then prove me wrong, then I know at the end of that debate I'm going to say, gee, you gave me information that proved me wrong. I'm wrong. Conclusion. You were right, I'm wrong, and now we both agree that what you said is correct. And what I said was not correct. And we pat each other on the back, shake hands, we're friends, and we part good, in good company, good steed, and we're proud of ourselves because we actually resolved the question. And we both know that 2 and 2 equals 4 now. We know that, and we have that conclusion. And we're good. We don't argue anymore. I'll never have to talk about this again. Anytime anybody asks me, how much is 2 and 2? 4. Everybody knows it's 4. Everybody says, it's 4. And you're done. That's it. Good to go. And you're talking to a 2-year-old. How old are you? I'm 2. Okay. How old are you, little girl? I'm 4. How many fingers? Holds up 4 fingers. She doesn't hold up 5 fingers. If she does, you take her little thumb, and you wiggle it and say, this is not the finger. You put that back under there, fold it under, and just show these 4 fingers, not the thumb. That's 4. And then, the little kid, if she's not like brain dead, says, okay, Daddy. 1, 2, 3, 4. I didn't say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the 4-year-old says, oh, cool. And now I'm smart. I know that I'm 4 years old and this is how many fingers to hold up. And that's the trouble with Americans today, as I see it, is that they'd rather argue than learn. They'd rather talk than listen. They'd rather follow their delusions than actually become sane, rational people. They don't want to solve the problem. They just want to argue about it. And that comes me to another conclusion. Americans like to argue and talk and bicker and debate. They don't want to come to a logical conclusion or make a critical, analytic observation about reality. And the problem there is, nothing ever gets fixed. When you've got two people wanting to fix something in two different opposing ways, and both ways are not going to fix the problem, then you got a problem. So if you got Hillary wanting to fix a problem in America, the government's going, oh, we're going to do this. And then Donald Trump is saying, oh, no, we're going to do this. And you got two different people with two different ideas on how to fix the problem. And they're both wrong. So how can I vote for either one of them? I can't, because both stupid ideas. They both are putting forth, plans for fixing a problem that are not going to fix the problem. Let's just say what the problem is. There's all kind of problems. Let's say one of the problems is. The gun thing. Well, we're going to fix the gun thing. Well, the way you're going to fix the gun thing is you're going to obey the law of the Constitution as a politician, and you're going to obey the law which says no laws about guns. Now, that's a conclusion. How are we going to fix that problem? Well, the problem is the government's trying to take away our guns. Hillary Clinton wants to take away our guns. This is a fact. It's not debatable, so don't even think about it. And Donald Trump is saying, yeah, we need to keep guns. And then we need to use those guns to murder people with, like in Iraq and Afghanistan and Iran and shit. Like, oh, for Christ's sake, that's not going to fix a problem. It's like, oh, how are we going to get rid of the terrorists trying to kill us in America and destroy the country and shit? Okay. Well, one person says, we'll just blow them to smithereens, including their wives, children, and grandparents, and their houses, and blow everything up. And the other one's saying, yeah, we're going to go do that. Except we're going to be badass about it and just blow up the whole freaking country and wipe it off the face of the earth. Even worse than Hillary is. That's not going to get rid of the terrorists, that people that, they're not really terrorists, they're people that hate us. Because we keep arguing and not doing anything to fix the problem, which is American government and the military complex and so on are murdering those people in foreign countries, not this country. Well, yeah, in this country too, because pig cop motherfuckers, police state bastards, killing people on the streets in this country. So how do you stop terrorists in other countries? How do you not create more terrorists in other countries? Don't go to their country and murder them. I don't hear Hillary or Donald, either one, saying, we're not going to go into foreign countries and murder those people, and that way they will probably not hate us anymore. Haven't heard Donald say that. Haven't heard Hillary say that. That's the only answer. That is the bottom line. That is the end of the debate. How do you stop terrorists? Don't create them in the first place. And they did. Both of them want to create more terrorists. So that's the bottom line. That's the end of that debate. I'm done. This segment's over. I got to stop. I went about 3 times longer than I intended, but you get the idea. So, if you got any questions, you can leave a comment down below. Talk to you later. Keep on keeping on. And stop debating.